Okay. Sorry. Hi, everyone. It's Cricket Barrientos with Sounds of Autism, and I'm here again with Dr. Khan. Hi, Dr. Khan. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. We're here today to talk about Spectrum Talks and Tips International with our co-host, Dr. Khan, who's a clinical psychologist, psychotherapist, speech therapist, and much, much more in Pakistan. Dr. Khan, I know you have an awesome presentation for us today. Do you want to tell us a little bit about it?
Yes, today we are going to talk about fine motor skills, that why fine motor skills are important and how to improve fine motor skills. So I think we should jump on the presentation. Okay, so we are here and I just prepared a very attractive presentation for you all and it's about fine motor skill and let's define what is fine motor skills. Okay, so as you can see from the pictures that I added pictures with the presentation so that you get the idea what are fine motor skills. So you can see over here that the children are working and they are using their hands. For example, over here the child is trying to just touch something. The child is trying to hold something from the box. A child is playing with the ball. A child is putting the ball in the in the hole, in the round hole. So these are some kind of fine motor skills. So let me define the fine motor skill for you. Fine motor skills involve the use of the smaller muscles of the hand, commonly in activities like using pencil, using scissor, construction, Lego activity, and opening and closing the lunch boxes. And I already explained that what are fine motor skills according to the picture. So fine motor skills are important because we are using our hands in fine motor skills. So what skill are you could say according to our academics and play activities? Let me explain according to that. In academics, we talk about our daily use of academics. It could be pencil skill, for example, scribbling, coloring, drawing, and writing. Scissor skill like cutting, pasting. In play activity like construction skill, using Lego, puzzles, train track, dressing the doll. IT use, for example, mouse and using the keyboard and stuff like that. So these are academic skills, which include fine motor skills, in which we are using our hands, our total hands are using our hands, our thumb, our fingers, our hold hand, our grip. So these are our fine motor skills. So I think you are getting a little bit idea why fine motor skills are important. So let me give you another important orientation about the skills that is self care skill, and you will get the idea why fine motor skills are important over here. In dressing, like tying shoelace, doll up the dress, zip, unzip, eating like eating something, and opening our lunch box and opening our food bag, and for example, hygiene, brushing our teeth, brushing our hair, and toileting and stuff like that. So we are using our hands to do all this activity, and with hand, whatever we are doing, these are called fine motor skills. So let us give the idea if we cannot do these things by using our fine motor skills, what could be the difficulty we could face, so you get the idea why it's important. And then we will talk in detail according to different activities, that why fine motor skills are important in different activities, or what are the indication, or why how we are using fine motor skills in different activities. So if you see that a child is avoiding some activity, or they don't want to use their hands or fingers in some activity, for example, they cannot perform some physical activity, the child don't have interest in physical activity, and they just want to do something on keyboard, or they don't want to use their pencil, or they don't have a scissor skill, or they're being bossy and asking other people to do their physical activity, and they just want to sit there, it means that the child have difficulty in fine motor skill. Next is, if the child cannot press a button, the child cannot fix a lunch box, a child cannot, the child cannot dress themselves, and child is waiting for their parent to dress them, and also they cannot clean their teeth, or they are waiting for the parents to clean their teeth. It means that the child have problem in fine motor skill. So over here today we are not going to discuss about why the fine motor skill, what are the developmental milestone for fine motor skill. We just discussing the importance of fine motor skill. So little bit the importance, like we already talked about how we are going to assess that a child have fine motor skills. Now let's talk about why fine motor skills are important, because fine motor skills are very essential to do our everyday activity like academic skill. Without these things, the child would have a poor self-esteem, because he cannot complete the task in daily activity. For example, if your teacher asks you to open a lunch box and child is sitting in a classroom and the child cannot open the lunch box, it means the child is going to feel embarrassed about this, and people would a teacher would say that you are so lazy, why you're so being fuzzy, why you're so lazy, why you cannot open your lunch box like other children are doing. And if a child is not able to be independent and lot of skill, for example, wearing the dress, or the child would feel embarrassed in front of their friend. The child would feel embarrassed in front of their teacher because the teacher asked the child to rub the whiteboard, and the child is not able to do that. So it means that if the child is not able to do these things, that it is going to impact the child whole activity and whole life. The child would not have any kind of confidence, and the child would say that I cannot go and do something and stuff like that. So it means that it is important. And why it is important, let's talk about more eye hand coordination. Eye hand coordination means that, for example, I have a cup and I'm able to move my hand and move my head according to that. So it means that this is called eye hand coordination. And if you talk about those children who have developmental delays, who cannot talk to each other, who cannot use their hand properly, and who cannot look toward anything, it means that the child have to develop eye hand coordination. So that if you ask the child to hold the glass and drink from the glass, the child is able to do that eye hand coordination. Next thing is pincer grip or tripod grip. It is very important because in a lot of activities, for example, this is mobile, then I have to use my hand with that. I have to hold my hand with the mobile, so it is important. Tripod grip, it's more mainly important in the writing skill. So a child need to use his two fingers and one thumb to hold something, to hold a pencil. And it's also important for adult as well. It's not just about the child, it's also important for adult as well, that adult is able to hold the thing properly. Hand dominance, when we're talking about children, then the child or the parent should know that the child is using their their left hand or the right hand. So that's why the fine motor skills are important. Then the bilateral hand coordination. So if I'm holding the mobile phones, I'm using my both hands. So my both hands should be working in accordance to each other. So that's called bilateral hand coordination. And it had manipulation of gross grip. Gross grip is holding something like that. So I'm holding my mobile phone like that, or I am holding a cup like that. So it is my gross grip. So now you're getting the idea why fine motor skills are important, and how we are going to understand that what are fine motor skill and why fine motor skill are, where are we using these skills. So uh, uh, this is why it's important. So let's discuss about the skills in activities. So you will get the idea that why it is important, and then you get the idea that it's important, then you will definitely work on that, and it is easy to work on that. So let's talk about self-help activities, self-care activity, self-activity, which include dialing the phone, turning door knob, keys and lock, putting a plug into the socket, buttoning and unbuttoning the shirt, opening and closing the zip, fostering snap or buckling up, trying shoelaces, brushing your teeth, breathing, swallowing, and using the toilet, etc. So we are using our hands in everything. And some children who have developmental delays, or who are on the spectrum and who have a poor hand grip and poor fine motor skill, or poor eye hand coordination, or poor body posture, then definitely their muscles are very weak, and we have to work on these muscles to get a proper and good grip so that they can perform daily activities. And like we are talking about all activities, why these activities are important. So if it is in self-care activity, let's discuss about cooking and eating, that why it is important to have good fine motor skill or proper or improve fine motor skill. If we talk about cooking and eating, we are using our hand to pick and smell the food, just like reason, eating from the fork or the spoon, opening and closing the lunchbox, screwing and unscrewing, using ladder, tongue, spoon, large spoon, small spoon, serving the food, cutting from the knife, spreading and our topping and sprinkle spices, spreading the table, pouring, scribbling and stirring and mixing, everything like that. So we are using our hands to do all these things. So that's why it's important. And let's see why, if we talk about school activities. So let's discuss what about school activity. We want our child to turn the page. Fine motor skills are important. Fine motor skills are important. Coloring, fine motor skill. Drawing and penciling, fine motor skills. Tracing, writing, cutting and scissors, pasting and gluing, measuring with the scale, typing and typing from the computer, and playing musician instrument like that. So in everything we are using the fine motor skills. So now you're getting the idea why fine motor skills are important. So let's discuss the play. Why fine motor skills are important? For example, stacking the block, shaking the rattle, working puzzles and dressing dolls, playing with puppet, sculpturing, putting together trains and car track, building the Legos or other construction toy, playing board games, and construction small pieces and playing video games and joystick and stuff like that, and even uh, playing with the small balls and putting puzzles together. In everything we are using fine motor skills, so everywhere we are using our hand, and we have to work on these activities and these skills so that a child can do all these activities. Let's discuss about fine motor activities, because we discuss the importance of fine motor activities in the classroom, in the home, in self-help skill, in every aspect. So let's discuss about some activities that can help us to develop the fine motor skill. So let's discuss. Okay, it is threading with beads on to pipe. Okay, there's something important. Can I show you something? Because instead of these are something okay, let me do something, because I want to just demonstrate some fine motor skills and some equipment I can use in the fine motors. But can I read this first? Like read this slide, then I will show you. Or I should start demonstrating how you can use that. Let me read it first. Okay. So threading with bead on the pipe. Sorry, what are you saying?
No, that's perfect. Thank you.
Okay. So, threading with beads onto pipe and cleanser, and then threading, posting and slotting toys with baby toddlers, poking straw into holes and pasta necklace. These are some activities that you can, do with your child at home to improve the child fine motor skill. So you can see in the picture that there's a child who is putting beads into the lace, so the child can develop the fine motor skill with these activity at home. Other activities could be, tinkering with wires and loose part in the play-doh, grinding coffee beans, sorting colored chips into the egg, and tearing and sticking collage, monster play-doh. You can have a play-doh at your home, and you can just stick a lot of things into that play-doh, and that is very good activity at home to improve the child fine motor skills. So we are discussing all the activities which we can use to child to develop the fine motor skill. Okay, what other good activity could be? Foam and water window art, pom pom drop game. It could be painting with water and finger paint, mono painting. You can use your you can put colors on your hand and just stick that into to the wall, or to the to the page, and painting with q-tip, and you can use matching lid game and tape resistance painting, and it could be a lot of activity. You can snipping into doodle sticking, whisking whisking color to each other, mixing people, stacking cups, play-doh cupcakes, and that could be zipping and zipping shirt. Even you can use art activities to with your child to develop the fine motor activities. Other activity could be making mark in fairy dust, or decorating play-doh and making and scooping something from one cup to another cup, and sorting different patterns, pattern with Lego. You can use Lego. You can also lid posting, and there could be any activity that you can use to increase the child fine motor. And you can also see that I have a lot of pictures along with every slide that you can use to improve the fine motor skill at home. Okay, it could be waving around cupboard, Ferris pipe cleaner activity, beads on spaghetti, hair roller and sticking activity, first swing basket, and enabling enable finger paint. And it is so easy to make this paint that you can use some pudding. You can add some color into that activity and stuff like that. So before closing to this, I have something to show you that you can use into fine motor activities at home. So I thought that I would do it today. This is a cupboard. You can see that. And I have holes in that. So I have a string over here, and I'm going to teach a child to do these activities. So it's just like that. So I'm using my hand. And if a child is not able to do that, then you are holding the both hand of a child and helping the child to do that. So for example, this is one activity. Okay. So this is one activity. And I have 2-3 activities, by the way. There's a very, very important activity for children who have, sensory issues. You can do that activity with the child over here. So this is a toothbrush, and I can ask the child to do that. And these are actually activity I'm doing in the session. So when the child is bored with the equipment, then I start doing these things. So, I'm helping the child to do these things. So it is very easy to do that to improve the fine motor skill at home. There's another activity which you can do with a child. For example, I have a cup and there's another cup, and I'm asking the child to pour into that. See, it's a very simple activities, but it is going to improve the fine motor activity of the children. So pouring is very interesting activity for the children. Then I have a very interesting thing that is called sensory box, and children love that thing, especially children who have autism. They love this activity because this is a box and I have white beans. You can see that. And it is making sounds. And children love sound. You already know this. So I have I have two things over here. So I'm working on multiple things over here. I'm asking the child to use the spoon. If a child is not able to use, then I'm helping the child. Helping means I'm holding the child hand and put in this one. So using the spoon, eye hand coordination is improving. The child, sitting span is also improving. So pouring from this to this, you're getting the idea. So the child love this activity. You can put anything over here. Over here, I have white beans and pistachio. So you can change the activity, and even I have something else also. This is eggshell, and you can ask the child to put into that. So these are so many activities you can do with the children, and these are actually I'm doing sessions, so I'm doing this activity with the children. So I thought that today it will be a very different thing to add this thing into the session. So I think that was interesting thing by showing you the live thing, because you could go from anything to anything. It means that you can be creative. Fine motor skills are very important, and to develop these skills, you don't need to do a lot of things. You can just use small activity to improve the fine motor skill. So I think it was small presentation this time, but I think it is very effectful. It is very impactful factor.
Dr. Khan, I did have a couple questions for you. I mean, first of all, great job on your presentation and your teaching. It's affordable, which I love.
It is affordable, yes.
Because families have all of these things. You could take a dressing for a salad and you could rinse the bottle out and have them fill it with water, or, go back and forth. Like, there's so many things that can be done. But, my son is 20 years old now. And I know when he was first struggling, because I wanted him to do it fast, I just wanted it to be done, I would do it for him. And I learned quickly that he wasn't learning fine motor skills because I was doing the job for him. But then when he would go into class, he was struggling because I did that. So, I encourage families, take your time, be patient, and allow this child, even if they don't have autism, just, intellectual disability or fine motor skill development delay, to give them the opportunity to learn those things. Because once they learn it, they'll probably be better at it than you are. The second thing is with water and with the string and with pencils.
Yeah.
Sometimes it has nothing to do with the task. It has everything to do with the sensory, right?
Yeah.
So like if they touch the pencil, it might not be comfortable for them holding it in a tripod hold. Yeah. And they might hold it like very lightly. Like you couldn't even read Landon's writing when he was young because he didn't put enough pressure on the pencil to draw, because he didn't like the feeling of that. So those sensory things, before we even move on to something like the fine motor skills, we have to work through the sensory issues, right? Because that's
I show you that sensory box, that is actually meant for these things, because they love, there's a lot of sensory toys for that. The child could do this activity for 20-30 minutes and without getting distracted from that, because they love the sound. The child love the music, so pouring from one thing to other thing. You could have a transparent bottle for that. It's very affordable activities, because why I told you why fine motor skills are important, because I just told you why we are going to in which area of life fine motor skills are going to affect if you don't work on that. Because and if your child is small and the child is not able to hold something, and you see that the child hand is very the child look like very fragile, so you have to start working on that, because why the child is not able to holding something. That's why I showed you the spoon, for example. This is a spoon, so the child cannot hold the spoon, so you have to hold it like that. You have to use a play-doh. So that is the reason I give you a lot of activities, and that activities you can do this activity at home, and it is so affordable actually. The point is that in therapy session that the child would come to us for 20 or 30 minutes, but what the child is going to do at home? The parent would say that the child is doing stimming all the time. The child is spinning their body, the child is clapping their hand. Why don't you make this activity for the child? And if you're working in the kitchen, then just give this activity to the child, and you just do your own work. The child is going to read their own work. So you both are working together actually over there. So I think it's very easy thing to do. But and maybe before that, when you don't know about fine motor skills, why it's important, and what you could do about that in the activity, you would see that actually the painting thing that is going to help the child to do a lot of things. So I think the activity which I mentioned and the things which I show you, that's what, why I show you everything, because people should get the idea that you have a lot of things at home that you can use them. So that was this thing was at my home and I'm using them actually, and child love them.
And Dr. Khan, if they have an issue with doing something with their motor skills, like they don't know how to grip the spoon, we call it hand over hand, verbal prompting, visual prompting, independent, right? So we want to show, right? I always say, tell them, show them,
Yeah.
do it with them, and let them do it, and then you review their behavior. It was good. You did a great job. Reward and recognize, reward and recognize. If they didn't do it right, don't say good job. Just say, okay, let's do it again. And then coach them through it. But tell, show, do, review. And how important is it to repeat this over and over and over? Because short-term memory, we may not gain it, but when we do it over and over, we might get it into our long-term memory. And once it gets there, these kids will do amazing things. True?
Yeah, and that is the point. When we talk about something, for example, let me give you the example of feeding therapy. I was working with the child, and the child started doing that thing, but sometimes the child was not eating something. So I tried everything. The child was not eating anything. Then one day I tried to change my strategy. I asked the child to put the food in their mouth, and the child was not doing. But the moment I put I put that spoon in the child and ask them to do, the child immediately starting that, because the child don't have the muscular memory for that. So when we're talking about muscle, then it's muscular memory. Verbal thing is something else, but when we're working with the child, and it's a lot of things are muscular. Last time when we're talking about the oral motor area, for that we have to make a muscular memory. Why we are repeating everything? Because so that things become automatic. We have to have neuron, and when we're talking about neuron, then there's a pathway for that. So for activity we need a pathway in our brain. So it means that when somebody's asking us to do something, then our muscles know that we have to do that thing, and for that we have to have the repetition of that thing so that it become automatic. So for this thing you have to do some physical, I mean, prompting is going to help, but it's physical also. You have to help the child to do these things, and the child will get involved in that thing. The more the child will get involved in that thing, the more the child will learn. And that's why I give the variety of things, so that the child could learn from variety of things. So asking your child to eat something, do something, holding the pencil. If the child cannot hold, then we give them the we have these kind of I don't remember the exactly, but just you have to put the pencil and you have to that gripper. Oh yes, it's called gripper. We have gripper for that, so it's very easy for a child to write with a gripper. But the point over here is that we have to work on the fine motor skills, so that it helps the child to do all the activities. Because like I said, that when we are working with the feeding and when we are working with the speech, we have to work on the muscles actually, so that the child know that when I'm eating something or when I'm talking, I have to know that I have how I have to control my breathing while eating or while talking, or when I'm something, then how I'm going to do that, how I'm going to achieve that task. So with the passage of time, the child will learn that thing. But be patient with that child, give the child space, and practice with child. That is the point over here, and give the variety of things to do. Like child love art, sand play is a very good activity. Why don't you take your child to the beach and play with them? Sand is a very good thing. Ask the child to play play the sand castle. Put a lot of things in sand, and ask your child to pick that thing from the sand. Fine motor activity, eye hand coordination, using both hand and coordination. So it's more like you are helping your child to integrate. And whenever we're talking about children with autism and other disability, the child don't know how to use the senses together. That's why the child don't understand that. That's where the child is looking here and there. That's why the child is confused, because they don't know what is sensory integration. And with sensory integration therapy, you are helping our child to use 2 or 3 senses together. So that's how you're going to help your child.
Dr. Khan, when you say the child has two different like sensories or whatever, and they don't like connect, right? What causes the disconnection? What is causing that? Is it the neurons, like you said? Is that what's causing it? Like the neurons aren't communicating with each other, or you have to connect them? Like how does that work?
Okay. I'm talking actually about senses actually. Senses, eyes, the touch, the smell. Then the children don't have integration with these things because they have senses issue. They have very, they're hypersensitive or hypersensitive. Like they're sensitive over here, they're sensitive to touch, they're sensitive to sound. So they get distracted with these things. They would
Yes.
smell things very strong. Like, and why child a screening starts may put their hand, because when we both are talking, then maybe our listening capacity is 1 megahertz or 2 megahertz or 2 times or 3 times. With these children it could be 10 times. So that's why they are afraid of noises. That's why they are afraid of machine noise, or grinders, things like that. So we have to help these children, because there's a very common thing about this, which is called executive function. So executive functions are planning your whole day, planning decision making, and helping you out, how you're going to function in the whole day. So the more aligned things you have, it is very easy for you to to decide for yourself. So if a child know everything already, the child is not getting, not going to get confused, because it's a lot of firing in the neuron. Let me give you one theory. It's about autism, or you could say neurodivergent. That we have neurons and we have aligning on the neuron. According to one theory, there are small holes in that neuron. So the message is going there, but the the message is leaking out. Just like there
Yeah.
is a pipe which has a hole and water is coming outside. So message is going here and there. So the moment it went delay to the process, because first sensation is coming, then it's going to brain. The brain is going to work on that. Then the brain is sending the message to the motor neuron, and the child is going to act on that. So when it is going around the child, and the child have a lot of issues like that, and child don't know how to connect this thing, or child don't know what is going around him, the child is confused around the environment, because there's a lot of bombardment in the brain. And
Yeah.
if you're working with a child, to keep 2 3 things in the mind. The room should be clear out of every distraction. If the child is studying, then no distraction at all, no sound at all, no colorful thing at all. You know, people don't get this idea. In the therapy room, there should be no color at all. Simple, plain therapy room. People don't get this, because children get distracted with these things. Children get, they just need a second, nanosecond to get distracted. But people, the parents would come to some therapeutic room and they say, "Oh, why this place is so, plain, or why you don't have a lot of equipment?" And they don't get excited. The child is getting distracted. When you are working with children, we hide everything under the chair, and the child is looking, what is next? What is next? What is next? It's how their brain is working. So just to keep them focused, we have to be very clear, very simple, and free of every distraction. So I think I just sum up a lot of things in this question.
No, it was great. I think you really hit it on the head. And I think that it would be really neat
Yeah,
to see how sound travels to the brain.
yeah.
And when you have these neuron deficiencies with the holes, how that sound go. So what ends up at the brain might be a sentence that's only 50% of what you said, or
And delay also.
25%.
Delay.
Yes.
Delay in the response. That's why the response is delay actually. That is the point actually. So people don't get this idea. So you have to know the reasons behind it. Instead of calling them dumb, instead of calling them
Yeah.
these responses so delay, you don't know what is going inside the brain, because these are
No.
neurodivergent brain, and that is something different. So we only have one thing, less than 1 minute.
I know we're going to go. We could talk all day, but you know what? I really appreciate you, Dr. Khan. You have a lot of information for our families. You give us hope for sure. And I think that, if you continue to listen in, Dr. Khan has a lot of information she can share with you. And because she lives life on a spectrum with autism, she too understands what you as a parent or you as your child goes through on a week to week, day to day basis, minute by minute. And she has a lot of information she can help you with. So don't give up. Dr. Khan will be here for you. Thank you, Dr. Khan. Have a great week, and I will see you tomorrow.
Yeah, thank you so much. Bye bye.
Bye.